Hello and welcome back to Chelsea Lee Reads. Today we're going to wrap up a year of reading and talk about my December reads. I also have a video coming out of a book haul that I did recently between gift cards I got for Christmas and a discount book sale that was happening in my area that I went and loaded up on. So here we go. 2022 was my best reading year in a long time. I read 38 books in 2022 and had only one 2-star. Now let me tell you, I am pretty generous in my stars. I have to hate it, or there's got to be a really strong reason for me to even give a book a 1-star rating. I very rarely do that. It's got to be really bad. So a lot of my star ratings are much higher than probably a lot of people's. So with that in mind, I had one 2-star rating, 7 3-stars, 17 4-stars, and 13 5-star ratings that I read this year. For a total of 12,842 pages, which is, I'm very happy with. How many of these? I used audiobooks so much this year. Up until August, I was working at a retail store, but I was a stalker. So I went in at 4 o'clock in the morning and stocked shelves. There are no customers during that time, so I really only had my coworkers to talk to, and a lot of that time I was working by myself. So I bought some headphones, some bone conduction headphones, because we still have to be able to hear what's happening around us because there are forklifts and blah, 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 blah. Safety, you know? So I bought some bone conduction headphones and listened to audiobooks as I stalked. And I read 17 audiobooks highly because of that, which was fantastic because I wasn't thinking about I have to put all this stuff on the shelf. No, I was listening to a book, and a lot of the times the narrators were amazing and the story just kept me going, so which was really nice. So 17 audiobooks. I read one book on my Kindle towards the end of the year, in December, a Christmas book. And then I had 20 tangible in-hand paperback or hardback books. I read 13 books in paperback and 7 books in hardback. So this is, really quickly, I'm going to go through my books that I read this year, and just, I'm not going to talk about them because y'all can look up summaries if you think you're interested in it. And if I did, this video would be insanely long. So I'm going to go in order from 2 stars to 5 stars. I will mention what my favorites were of those 38 books at the end of my run through real quick. Side note, I have loaned out several books, or they were audiobooks, which I rented from the library, borrowed from the library on Hoopla, which was a lifesaver this year for me. It was fantastic. Saved me a lot of money, which I then in turn went and spent on other books. So, give and take, So here they are from 2-star up to 5-star. The Poppy Wife was my only 2-star rating this year. I'm not talking about them, but it was very repetitive, and that's really the only reason. Then I had Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore starts my 3-star reads. Both the Poppy Wife and Mr. Penumbra's were for in-person book club, which was really nice. And then I have The Summer of Letting Go, which I read on audiobook and finished it up in paperback because it dragged a little bit in audiobook, and I was like, I want to finish, and I had the paperback, so I just sat and read it in like an hour, half of the book. It's a it's a young adult, a YA, and it went really fast, so I finished it real quick. Then I have the Wednesday group. I also read Eat That Frog, which is a make yourself better book. What is it called? Self-improvement. I read The Body by Stephen King. The Cul-de-Sac War on audiobook, and The Christmas Bookshop, which was my only Kindle book. Those were my 3-star reads. Now my 4-star reads, I read Cinder, read The Last Days of Rabbit Haze, Into the Water, The Guest List, The School of Essential Ingredients, A Flicker in the Dark, A Face Like Glass, Pachinko. I also read The Hunting Party, Ariadne, The Electric Woman, Firekeeper's Daughter, Then She Was Gone, The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, A Court of Thorns and Roses, The Woman in the Library, and After We Were Stolen. Those were all my 4-star reads. And now I only have 3 of my 5-star reads in person, so I'm going to go ahead and read those, put those up here. Beach Read, The Body Keeps the Score, and Book Lovers. I love the Target stickers. Should have taken that off. On top of those, I also had 5-star reads that were This Tender Land, so good, The Dutch House, Fahrenheit 451, Ugly Love, Meet Me in the Margins, The House in the Cerulean Sea, The Keeper of Lost Things, Under the Magnolias, Remarkably Bright Creatures, and Rock, Paper, Scissors. All of those were 5-star reads for one reason or another. I think my favorite 5-star read I read this year was The House in the Cerulean Sea. I don't know why I put off reading that for so long, and if you can, I highly recommend listening to the audiobook. The narrator was incredible. He brought me into the world that book has set up and that TJ Klune has created, and I cannot wait to read all of TJ Klune's other works. I am planning on reading Under the Whispering Door this year, in 2023, so I'm very, very excited. I will also be reading all of Emily Henry's books because she has solidified herself as a automatic buy author for me. So yeah, I think those 2 were my absolute favorites this year. I also really enjoyed This Tender Land by William Kent Kruger. That was what I wanted The Body by Stephen King to be. Granted, The Body is like this big, and This Tender Land was like 3 times the size almost, so he had an ability to build the world more than Stephen King opted to, since it was a short story. The Body wasn't bad, it's just not what I was expecting, and This Tender Land was just, it was absolutely lovely. So real quick rundown of how many books I read per month. January I read 3, February I read 2, March I read 3, April 2, May 2, June 5, July 1, August 1, September 6, October 4, November 4, and December 5, for a total of 38 books this year in 2022. The 5 books I read in December were The Christmas Bookshop, This Tender Land, Into the Water, The Wednesday Group, The Summer of Letting Go, what was the other one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I guess that's it. 5. Duh. Okay, so is This Tender Land, The Christmas Bookshop, The Summer of Letting Go, The Wednesday Group, and Into the Water. Those are the 5 I read in December. I've already given you star ratings for that. So my Goodreads goal was to read 30 books, and I surpassed that goal and read 38 books. I am so happy that this year has been such a great reading year for me. I am looking forward to 2023. I've set my goal for 50 books. Ideally, I'd like to get 52 because there's a couple of challenges that I'm looking forward to being a part of and participating in. So we'll see if that happens. I'm trying to make it a point to get off my phone and stop watching silly YouTube videos that aren't booktube and sit down and read and really enjoy all of the books I have planned, because it's a lot. So hopefully we'll get through a lot of them and have some really great reads for 2023. So that'll be it for 2022. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope your 2022 reading was great, and here's to 2023. Happy New Year!